Have you ever visited someone's house and thought to yourself that they must not have very much stuff and that's why their house looks clean? Well, that's only partly true, and I'm going to tell you their secret.
When your house is a mess and you're feeling the stress, what you need is a friend in your ear. Start the job and you'll see it through with Ronnie talking to you. Make the chaos disappear. Clean with Me podcast is here.
Thanks for joining me. In this session, we're going to get your dishes washed and your countertops cleared and wiped down, and of course the stovetop and the sink. And then we're going to walk through your house and do an assessment of your closets, cabinets, and drawers. That way you'll know what to focus on during your next decluttering session. But first, it's time to gather up any cups or dishes from around the house and set them next to the sink so that you can quickly get your dishes done and clear and wipe down those kitchen surfaces. I'm not going to do a prolonged introduction in this episode because I'm really excited about this hidden clutter assessment that I'm going to talk you through. But at the same time, I want you to get your dishes done first. More often than not, we need to start by doing the dishes. Okay, I do make some cleaning in reverse episodes, but in this episode, I want you to get those residual dishes clean. I want you to get down to dish zero. And then the easy part is just quickly clearing your countertops and tabletops and giving those surfaces a swipe. It's not a deep clean by any means. It's just a daily kitchen reset that we're going to get over with so that we can talk about something that's going to make a long-term impact in your house. Because I'm also releasing a bonus episode today where I walk you through decluttering those hidden areas and give you all the deets on my latest decluttering session. I'm going to be giving you the actual examples in that bonus episode. But even if you don't subscribe to bonus content, I want to help you assess your house so that you'll know what needs to be done. Now that you've gathered up your dishes from around the house and placed them next to the sink, you might need to quickly wash out the sink and get it ready. You might need to empty your drying rack of clean dishes, or if you have a dishwasher, you might need to also empty your dishwasher and then start pre-rinsing or start pre-rinsing and loading the dishwasher, or start pre-rinsing and soaking things in that first sink load. And a lot of times when I'm hand washing dishes, I will get that first sink load pre-rinsed and soaking, and then I'll start clearing off the surfaces of my kitchen to get it ready for the wipe down as the water's cooling down a little bit, because I want the water as hot as possible, but then I want it to cool down a little bit before I put my hands in it. When I'm using a dishwasher, and just be working on your dishes, whatever that means for you. Maybe you have to put away clean stuff, or maybe you're already washing. But when I'm using the dishwasher, I normally get any difficult items pre-rinsed and soaking, especially pots and pans. I rinse them out under running water, and then I put some hot water and dish soap in them, set those aside, and then put the easy items into the dishwasher. By the time I'm done loading the dishwasher, those items on the countertop have had a little time to soak, and then I finish washing those. But on any given day or just in any given household, the routine is a little bit different. So just be working on dishes, whatever that means for you. But I want you to do it quickly, okay? We're going to work on dishes for maybe another 5 or 6 minutes. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but you'd be surprised how much you can get done during a speed dishwashing session. And remember, when you put away the clean stuff, first, it makes it faster because you have somewhere to put your clean dishes. Okay. And I do, for clarification, I do a combination of hand washing and dishwasher washing. So by emptying my drying rack and getting all the easy stuff into the dishwasher, when I hand wash those remaining items, it goes quickly because I don't slow down to think about where I'm going to place the item, like on the top of some mountain of clean dishes or something. It just goes into the empty drying rack. And you don't have to have a drying rack. Maybe you have a drying pad or you've just laid out a towel. Okay. When I'm in a situation where I have to wash a bunch of dishes by hand, for example, I was helping out someone who had just had a baby and she did not have a dishwasher. She had a small kitchen. So what I did is I laid out a bath towel on her kitchen table. That way, as I washed each dish, I just placed it on that towel. There was plenty of space. I didn't have to think about how I was going to position the item to keep it from falling or anything like that. And I got it done in record time for that amount of dishes. And just because you don't like a task doesn't mean you have to do it slowly. I think sometimes that happens when we don't like something. We slow down because we feel like it's such drudgery. Forget that. Move quickly. I'm here with you. And if you are facing a disaster today, you don't have to do it all, but I want you to move quickly throughout this segment and get as many dishes done as possible. And I have a feeling you can make it. I have a feeling you're going to get down to dish zero during these next few minutes. But even if you don't, you can get back to those dishes and finish up after we've done your whole house assessment. I'm excited about it, and it's going to be based on my own experience from this major overhaul my house got on Saturday. And I'll go into that more in the bonus episode, but I'm definitely going to touch on it in this one, and I'm going to tell you which areas I focused on and why. Someone mentioned that I should include product recommendations. So, a quick talk about little scrubby sponges. I really like the Scrub Mommy that has, and this isn't sponsored or anything, just general talk about cleaning products that you can get in the grocery store or your local Walmart or wherever. But as far as a sponge that has a rough side and a soft side, I really like the Scrub Mommy. I will say that it doesn't do very well going through my washing machine though. So that's the con with that one. Even though that's kind of the Rolls Royce of scrubby sponges, it does not do well going through my washer and dryer. It kind of is just ready for the trash at some point. If you want a scrubby sponge that you don't have to replace as often, the tried and true Scotch-Brite sponges are great for that. They're smaller, flatter. The shape isn't as wonderful as with the Scrub Mommy, but those seem to do well when they go through the washer and dryer. And that's not the only way I clean them. I also will wring those out. I'll dip them in some fresh, hot, soapy dishwater, wring them out, and then microwave them for a couple minutes to sanitize them. That's one way of doing it. But sometimes I will put it in a load of laundry with just towels and kitchen rags and things. And they look kind of ugly coming out of the washing machine, but more if they go through the dryer because, you forget to pull them out and they end up in the dryer. They look kind of ugly afterward, but they're still super useful. So those are probably the most durable option. Although the newest dish scrubbing sponge I've tried is the Dawn one that's a circle. It's very similar to the Scrub Mommy. I don't like it as much as the Scrub Mommy, and I haven't tried to wash it yet because I just got it. But it's another option. I guess the pro with that is that it's cheaper than the Scrub Mommy. But in addition to a sponge with an abrasive side, I definitely recommend having just a scrub brush. Just a scrub brush on a handle. And then you might also need a bottle brush for either cleaning out baby bottles or just skinny glasses. But if your glasses are kind of wide, the scrub brush kind of works for that, but it's still not the ideal shape for cleaning the inside of a glass. So you might want to check out the baby section, even if you don't have a baby, to get that rounded bottle brush, because I'm using that for my own drinking glasses, even when the grandkids aren't here with their little sippy cups and whatnot. So at any given time when I'm doing dishes, I have the sponge with an abrasive side. I have a scrub brush with a handle, mainly just for pre-rinsing the crud off the dishes. I have a bottle brush for cleaning inside of the glasses. And then, of course, I have a rag or dishcloth, whatever you want to call it. And then a dish towel for drying my hands, of course. Off and on, I'll get that dish scrubber that has a place to put dish soap in the handle, but I'm not currently using that. Okay, by now I've given you enough time, hopefully, to do your dishes, but no judgment here if I caught you at a time where you're facing a disaster. Sometimes it takes more than one dish load, more than one sink load. I get it. But even if you still have a few things that you need to leave soaking for the time being, I want you to quickly clear and wipe down your countertop and kitchen table if you have one, high chair if you have one. Okay, this isn't a deep clean where we're scrubbing the cabinets and wiping down the appliance fronts. We usually do that because I feel like in the kitchen, deep cleans should be pretty much constant. But this is just a quick reset. So I want you to spend the next couple of minutes clearing and wiping down the countertop, the stove top, the tabletop, and the high chair if you have a baby or toddler. Okay? And I'm going to assume that this is not a session where you're going to be sweeping and mopping. However, there's definitely something to be said for doing a little spot sweep in the problem areas. Okay? You don't want to have this all or nothing mentality where you're like, I don't feel like sweeping this large, expanse of floor, or I don't have time right now. And then you don't do it at all. Are there crumbs right under the high chair if you have a baby? Are there crumbs around the table if you have little kids? Or if you have a household where everyone's a little bit older, the crumbs might just be around the food prep areas, the stove, the kitchen island, or that strip of countertop where you're preparing your food. Okay? So you might have time after giving those countertops and stovetop a swipe and wiping out your sink if it's not still full of dishes, and wiping down the table to do a little spot sweep. It doesn't have to be with a broom. You might be like me and use a kitchen shark. There are not ever large chunks of food in my kitchen floor, though. My dogs are quick to clean up after me. With 2 dogs, that's one of the benefits. But what they do not do is pick up the sand and sediment that gets tracked in the sliding glass door. Clear off any stuff that needed to be put away. Maybe there were some seasonings left out, a cereal box, a jar of peanut butter from making school lunches. I don't know what you're dealing with, but get all that stuff put away, spray and wipe down your surfaces. Okay? Again, this is not a deep clean because I'm excited about moving on to this decluttering assessment. Have you ever visited someone's house and thought to yourself that they must not have very much stuff and that's why their house looks clean? Well, that's only partly true, and I'm going to tell you their secret. Whether they have a lot of stuff or not, they have an amount of belongings that they are personally able to handle, and that's different for everybody. Also, they are storing virtually everything out of sight. Okay, it seems like they don't have that much stuff because you're not used to seeing everything put away. And the key to duplicating this in your own home is decluttering your storage areas, which include closets, cabinets, drawers. Because if you had more space in those areas, you too would be able to store everything out of sight. And you may be thinking that you need to buy more containers to put things in, and you might. Okay. However, I want to caution you that buying too many storage containers that are going to be out in the open can make your house look cluttered and defeat the purpose of getting organized. I mean, sure, having like items together in containers will make it easier for you to find stuff, and I'm all for that. But what if you could put those containers into your closets and drawers and under the bed so that your house would have that clean, streamlined look that you see in other people's houses? And once you've thinned down your belongings, then you can decide whether you need to purchase additional storage containers, because sometimes you'll find storage containers buried in the clutter. And then you'll be able to utilize those items that you already have, especially if you're like me and you're doing kind of a no-spend November. So what I want you to do first is walk through your home and determine which of your storage areas are too full. Okay? I'm talking about looking in closets, drawers, and cabinets. We're also going to look at things that are being stored out in the open that you would be able to put away after thinning down your storage areas. So I want you to start by looking into your coat closet and linen closet if you have both. Okay? Most of us have that hallway where there's a linen closet, which is the one with shelves, and then there's the coat closet that probably just has a shelf on the top and then has a bar for hanging up the coats. And I know that in most episodes we focus on visible clutter, but since we have over 3 weeks till Thanksgiving, this is a great time to identify that invisible clutter that's keeping you from putting more of the visible stuff away. And this episode's going to go hand in hand with the subscriber only episode I'll be releasing later today that's going to be about decluttering. But right now we're just doing an assessment. Are your linen closet and coat closet overstuffed? Open them and just look at them and look at what's in there. If the shelves are jam-packed and the floor is completely covered, in your next decluttering session, you'll need to pull everything out and see what you can get rid of and maybe what you can relocate, because it's probably a combination of things. There are things in there that you need to get rid of, but there are also things that probably belong somewhere else, but someone just shoved them in that closet in a hurry. Okay, because when you first moved into your house, you didn't jam pack the closets like this. And when you do go through all of the contents of a closet, you kind of pull everything out, you're going to do this one closet at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed. And you don't have to pull out the items from every shelf of your linen closet at once. You might do one shelf at a time and then the floor. Okay, in the linen closet, that's in the linen closet. In the coat closet, you might pull everything off the top shelf and go through it, and then pull everything out from the floor and go through that. You can do it in steps, okay? But you're going to have a pile of debris in your hallway while you're working on it. Again, we're not doing that in this episode because we're going through your whole house and just assessing your clutter. But I want you to think about what's in there and get excited about thinning it down. Okay, now that you've looked in those closets, I want you to head to your bookcase or shelf unit. Some houses have built-in shelves. Some have bookcases. That stuff is visible, but I guess I included it in this episode because I keep a bookcase in a closet in the back room, okay? But do you have books that are no longer relevant that you could donate or sell? You know, we had a homeschooling phase and we don't need all that stuff anymore. I do keep all of the classics that my kids are studying in their classical Christian school. I mean, they pass them down to each other. So there are some that my youngest hasn't studied yet that he'll need for next year or the year after. But also those are just good books to have. They're classics and something I want to have in my collection. And there are other books that are not classics that I like, but there are some books that I no longer need. And the way I organize a bookcase, I like to put the toddler books on the bottom shelf so that they're easily accessible for little ones. So maybe just look at your bookcase or your shelves. Another thing I want you to look at is your bedroom closet. Okay? Can you see the floor? If it's just a small closet, it's normal that your shoes might be covering the bottom of the closet or luggage or something like that. But if it's a walk-in closet, you should be able to walk around in there. Okay? I have a little shoe rack off to one side in my walk-in closet. I also have a little plastic dresser. Okay? It's a storage unit, but it's out of sight since it's inside the closet. I do store things along the back wall of my closet that I'm planning to donate. I call that my donation station, but it's something I dealt with during my recent purge, okay, to kind of reset that area and make room for more. But from time to time, I need to just pick up kind of the middle of the floor because things get shoved in the closet sometimes or they fall off the hangers, whatever. So maybe consider getting a shoe rack if you don't already have one, but look at what you might be able to get rid of or relocate to free up storage space inside your bedroom closet. And you could do the same with a kid bedroom closet as well, but we're not going that deep. I'm mainly talking about things that I did recently. Next, I want you to identify your two main junk drawers in the house. I've joked about this a lot, but I really don't approve of people having more than one junk drawer in the kitchen. However, I have two junk drawers in my house. Okay. One of the drawers in my kitchen island is a junk drawer, meaning it's miscellaneous stuff. Obviously, in a perfect world, you don't save anything that's junk, but it's called the junk drawer. That's what my parents called it. But if you open up that kitchen junk drawer and it looks overstuffed, you might want to take some time in your next decluttering session to remove some items, relocate or get rid of them. The other junk drawer probably shouldn't be called a junk drawer, but a lot of you have a drawer in your bedroom dresser for miscellaneous stuff. For me, it's the top drawer. When I was growing up, my mom always had us put our socks and underwear in the top drawer. But as an adult, my top drawer has always been a place where I put things that are kind of important that I want because I have a tall chest of drawers. So, I always kind of looked at that top drawer as a safe place that's out of the reach of little ones and kind of a temporary spot to put important stuff. Like I'm often putting papers in there that should really go in my expandable file folder. But sometimes it's just anything small that I don't know what to do with. So it's kind of like half important stuff and half junk. So if you have a drawer like that, you might need to file away any important documents, toss things that you no longer need. It's just another potential junk drawer in your house. And it might not be your top drawer. It could be a desk drawer or something. But I feel like you probably have another junk drawer besides the one in the kitchen. The next area I want you to just look at is the bathroom. Okay? And you might need to check more than one bathroom. But I want you to look inside of any bathroom drawers if you have them. I only have drawers in one of my bathrooms. The other one doesn't. It has just those fake drawers. Both bathrooms have cabinets. Open those. Are the cabinets and drawers in your bathrooms full of stuff that nobody uses? Okay, or what about visible baskets that were meant to organize the bathroom, but they're now jam-packed with random items? I'm going to talk about a situation like that at my house that I fixed recently in the bonus episode where I go into deeper detail. If you have a kind of a large vanity area, it could be that you're starting to store stuff on top of that could be put away in drawers or cabinets. I also want you to look at where you're storing clean and dirty laundry. Now, this one's not going to apply to everybody. Maybe you wash a load from start to finish. It goes straight into the washing machine, and then you dry it and fold it and put it away immediately. But some of us have hampers and then also baskets of clean laundry. And you might even have baskets or bins full of clean laundry that would not fit into your closets and drawers if you were to put it all away on the same day. If that's the case, it's an issue. It might be time for a clothing purge. But more than likely, you do have the space in your closets and dresser drawers, and you just need to get stuff put away. So that's something to make a mental note of. But maybe if you get your closet floors clear and it's a large walk-in closet, or even in a small closet, you might be able to do this. You might have room for a clean laundry basket that guests won't see, plus a dirty clothes hamper. And I realize not everybody has room for that, but it's just an idea, something to think about. And circling back to the kitchen, you might want to look into your kitchen cabinets and pantry to see if there's anything that doesn't belong, or perhaps too many duplicate items that you could donate. The benefit of thinning down your cupboards and pantry is that you can start storing your small appliances out of sight instead of on the counter. Now that you've looked at your storage areas that probably need to be thinned down, I want you to walk through every room of your house and look at anything that you're storing in plain sight. That's what your guests are going to see. That visible clutter is what differentiates your house from the more minimalist looking home that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Okay, I'm talking about boxes along bedroom walls of stuff you're putting off going through. Okay, I'm also talking about cluttered surfaces like desktops, countertops, bathroom vanities. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but you might need to thin down your desk drawers. Someone wrote in about a desk, so I'm going to be covering that in the bonus episode as well. You might even have visible clutter on your dining room table or your kitchen table. I'm talking about any clutter that would be better put away. Like, for example, like in a bedroom, picture a hotel room. Does it have boxes in the corners? No, it does not. That's what your closet's for. Or even your garage. So walk around looking at the clutter and visualize how nice your house is going to look once you put those items away. But now that you know which storage areas are overstuffed and which items you'd like to put away after freeing up storage space, you're going to need a podcast episode to listen to while you do it. And for a small fee, you can unlock that and many other bonus episodes. If not, I guess listen to one of the other podcasts in your library or some music. But most of all, be sure to follow this show so that you don't miss any future episodes. For more information on how to support the show, visit cleanwithmepodcast.com. There's also a link in the show notes. And one way you can help me out without spending a penny is to click on that 5th star and give me a 5-star rating and review. But most of all, just keep listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, happy cleaning. I'll talk to you in the next episode.